April 10th, 1941, the Libyan desert outside Tobruk. The dust is a solid biting wall. It coats the throat, grits the teeth, and turns the sweat on General Major Erwin Rommel's face into a mask of mud. He lowers his binoculars, a thin, wolfish grin on his face. This is not war, this is a chase. His Deutsches Afrikakorps, the Afrikakorps, is a grey-yellow tide of steel, rolling east. Behind him, the wreckage of the British Western Desert Force litters the coastline. Cyrenaica has fallen in just 2 weeks. His Panzer IIIs and his icons of the Blitzkrieg have smashed through a force that, on paper, should have held them for months. Rommel's intelligence officer, Major Friedrich von Mellenthin, points to the map. General, the British are in full retreat. It is a rabble. They are falling back on the last defensible position, Tobruk. Rommel taps the map. A rabble. Yes. And who is this rabble? British remnants, sir, von Mellenthin replies, consulting his notes. Some Indian cavalry and the garrison, the 9th Australian Division. A short, dismissive laugh escapes one of the staff officers. Australians, the Shafdeeb, the sheep stealers. The joke is common in the German officers' mess. These are not soldiers. They are colonials, volunteers, farmers, bank clerks, and sheep shearers from a land at the bottom of the world, famous only for their indiscipline and penchant for brawling in the bars of Cairo. They are empire scrapings, as one report put it. Amateurs. They will not fight, Rommel states, his voice flat with the certainty of a man who has not yet been proven wrong. They are cut off. Their main force is gone. We will be in Cairo in a week. They will surrender the moment they see our panzers. He gives the order. The 5th Light Division will probe the perimeter. The assault will be swift. A stinging party, he calls it. This will be over by Easter. Inside the perimeter, the amateurs are digging. The smell is of stale sweat, diesel fumes, and fear. Private Jack Bluey Henderson of the 217th Battalion, a 20-year-old from a sheep station in Wagga Wagga, slams his entrenching tool into the rock-hard caliche. The sound is a dull thud. This isn't digging, it's quarrying. He and his mates have just marched 100 miles in the retreat. They are exhausted, filthy, and now they are trapped. The fortress of Tobruk is a joke. It's a 30-mile wide semicircular perimeter of crumbling Italian concrete posts, dug by men who never expected to fight in them. There is no shade. There is no water, save for what the Royal Navy's ships can risk their lives to bring in. The only features are dust, rock, and millions of flies. Their new commander, Major General Leslie Morshead, watches them. Morshead is the opposite of Rommel. He is not a flamboyant gambler. He is a meticulous, unsmiling Australian schoolteacher and shipping manager. He is a citizen soldier, and he understands his men. He knows they are rough. He knows they are undisciplined in the traditional sense. But he also knows they are volunteers, every last one. And they do not like to be pushed. There'll be no Dunkirk here, Morshead tells his officers, his voice a low, distant, determined growl. This is a post, and we are the garrison. We will hold it. He gives his orders, and they are not the orders of a man preparing to surrender. They are the orders of a predator setting a trap. Patrol, aggressively, he commands. I want to own the night. I want the enemy to know that he is the one surrounded. On April 11th, Good Friday, the stinging party begins. German artillery opens up, Stukas, the sirens on their wings wailing, the infamous Jericho trumpets, dive on the Australian positions. The sound is a physical force designed to shatter the nerves of any man. For Bluey Henderson, crouching in his shallow pit, the sound is the end of the world. The ground leaps. The air turns black with smoke and pulverized rock. Then, through the smoke, come the panzers. They are arrogant, advancing with their hatches open, their commanders visible, expecting white flags. Morshead's men do not wave white flags. The Australian 25-pounder artillery guns, manned by men who call themselves the Bush Artillery, open up with a deafening crash. They fire over open sights, point blank, at the panzers. In the trenches, the amateurs grip their .303 Lee Enfield rifles. The order is simple. Hold your fire until you see the whites of their eyes, then shoot the bastards. The German infantry, following the tanks, are met with a storm of machine gun fire from Vickers and Bren guns. They are cut down in waves, The panzers, their infantry support gone, are suddenly vulnerable. One is hit by a sticky bomb, a desperate hand-thrown explosive. Another rumbles over a hidden anti-tank mine. By nightfall, and the assault has failed. The Germans are shocked. They retreat, leaving their dead and their burning tanks behind. That night, Rommel writes in his diary, "The Australians are fighting with unexpected stubbornness. They are uncooperative. The mockery has stopped. The Siege of Tobruk has begun." April 13th, 1941, Easter Sunday, Rommel's forward command post. Erwin Rommel is furious. The desert sun, which he had seen as his ally, now seems to mock him, baking the ground and the tempers of his men. The stinging party has failed. The town of Tobruk, which he had intended to bypass in a single day, is now a fortress at his back, a knife aimed at his supply line. "It is unacceptable," he snaps at his officers. The bravado of 2 days prior is gone, replaced by a cold, coiled energy. These Australians, they are not playing by the rules. His plan for a swift dash to Cairo is disintegrating. He cannot advance with this thorn in his side. He gives a new set of orders. This will not be a probe. This will be an overwhelming assault, a textbook Blitzkrieg breach. He masses his forces, the 5th Light Division, elements of the Italian Ariete Armoured Division, and elite Sturmtruppen, stormtroopers, over 100 panzers and Italian tanks. He will attack from the south, near the critical junction of Post R7, break the line, and pour his armour into the town. He is confident. These amateurs fought stubbornly in a prepared defence. Now they will face the full, terrifying power of the Wehrmacht. They will crack. Inside the perimeter, Private Bluey. Henderson is sharing a tin of lukewarm M&V, meat and vegetables, with his section. The bully beef is congealed, coated in a layer of fine dust that gets in before the spoon reaches his mouth. Flies swarm the tin, his face, his hands. "Happy bloody Easter, eh boys?" mutters his corporal. Shad O'Keefe. There is no reply, just the clink of spoons, the distant, harassing crump of German 80mm guns, and the incessant, maddening drone of the flies. They're all thirsty. Water is rationed to less than a gallon a man per day. Not for drinking. For everything. Drinking, washing, shaving, cooling the machine guns. General Morshead, the schoolteacher, has anticipated Rommel's move. He has turned Tobruk into a hedgehog. His strategy is not a thin, static line. It is a series of interlocking concrete posts, mined, wired, and supported by mobile artillery. It is defence in depth. On the afternoon of April 13th, the sky is ripped apart. The Stukas arrive. Bluey Henderson and his section dive back into their pits. This is not just a few planes. This is the full might of the Luftwaffe in Africa. The Jericho trumpets scream, a sound of pure psychological terror. Bombs tear the desert apart, throwing up geysers of rock and smoke. Then the artillery, rolling barrage from hundreds of guns. The ground does not stop shaking for an hour. "Stand to!" O'Keefe's voice is barely a croak over the din. "Stand to!" Henderson peers over the lip of his trench. What he sees makes his stomach drop. Through the shimmering heat haze and dust, a line of grey steel is approaching. Panzers, dozens of them, and behind them, hundreds of German infantry, their figures distorted by the smoke. The Easter battle has begun. The main blow, led by Lieutenant Colonel Gustav Ponath, strikes the 217th Battalion. The panzers, immune to the 303s, roll forward, their machine guns spitting. They crush the barbed wire. They isolate the concrete posts. They breach the line. By nightfall, Ponath and his stormtroopers have punched a 2-mile hole in the Australian perimeter. They are inside. From Rommel's perspective, the battle is won. The breach is made. All that is left is the mopping up. He prepares for the surrender. But General Morshead does not send a surrender. He sends the 248th and 228th battalions. He sends men who had been farmers and wharf labourers just a year ago, and he orders a counterattack. In the dark. This is not a battle the Germans recognise. There is no elegant armoured flanking. There is no tactical retreat. Bluey Henderson joins the line. Shad O'Keefe gives the order of "fix bayonets." The sound of steel sliding onto the Lee Enfield is a cold, final shing. "Right, boys," O'Keefe growls, his face a grim shadow. No prisoners. Give 'em the cold steel. With a guttural scream that is half terror, half rage, the Australians charge into the dark. The German stormtroopers, elite soldiers of the Reich, are prepared for machine guns. They are prepared for artillery. They are not prepared for this. They are not prepared for 500 screaming, swearing amateurs charging them with 17-inch bayonets. The fight disintegrates into a medieval brawl. It is a desperate, vicious, hand-to-hand fight in the dust. Men use rifle butts, entrenching tools, and their bare hands. The Australians, with their larrikin disregard for rules, are terrifying. They hunt in the dark. They throw grenades into captured posts, not caring who is inside. The panzers, blind without their infantry, are isolated. Their commanders button their hatches, terrified of the madmen climbing on their hulls, trying to jam grenades into their vision slits. By dawn, the breach is sealed. The German assault is broken. Lieutenant Colonel Ponath is captured. Over 800 German and Italian soldiers are killed, wounded, or taken prisoner. Rommel is in disbelief. His elite Afrikakorps has been beaten in close combat by a division of colonials. The news reaches Berlin. The propagandists are furious. William Joyce, the infamous Lord Haw-Haw, takes to the radio. In his sneering nasal voice, he mocks the defenders, broadcasting to the world, "These Australians in Tobruk, they are like the poor rats caught in a trap." The broadcast is piped over the loudspeakers in Tobruk. The diggers listen. They are sitting in their dusty, flea-ridden dugouts. They are covered in sores. They are thin, exhausted. They hear the insult, and they laugh. A sergeant from the 217th takes a piece of chalk and scrawls it on his dugout. Rats of Tobruk. The name sticks. It is a badge of absolute defiant honour. They are rats. They live in holes. They own the night, and they bite. The German commanders have stopped mocking. They have stopped laughing. The siege is no longer a joke. It is an obsession. May 1941, the perimeter, south of Tobruk. For Lieutenant Karl-Heinz Wagner of the 15th Panzer Division, the war has become inverted. The thrill of the Blitzkrieg, the triumphant chase across France and the open desert, has vanished. It has been replaced by this. He crouches in a Schützenloch, a foxhole, his binoculars trained on the Australian line. 3 miles distant, it is a shimmering, white line of heat and dust. By day, it is silent, save for the flies and the blistering wind. But Lieutenant Wagner is not afraid of the day. He is afraid of the night. When the sun goes down, the desert, which should be his, becomes theirs. The rats do not stay in their trap. They come out. They come out every single night. The Lancer in his trench, a veteran of Poland, now grips his Mauser 98K rifle until his knuckles are white. He listens. He hears the scrape of a boot on gravel, a cough, quickly stifled, or, worst of all, a low, casual whistle. "Are you there, Fritz?" A voice with a strange lilting accent calls out from the dark. "Come on out, you bastard. We've got a tin of bully beef for you." It is psychological torture. The Australians are not just patrolling, they are hunting. Inside the perimeter, Private Bluey Henderson is on patrol. He is no longer the terrified Choco, chocolate soldier, from the retreat. He is something else. He is 15 pounds lighter. His skin is burned the colour of mahogany, and his uniform is a collection of sun-bleached rags. His ribs are visible, but his eyes, sunk deep into his skull, are bright and alert. He and his section are preparing for a stroll. "Right, lads," Corporal Shad O'Keefe whispers, his voice rough. He's checking their gear. Every man has a 303 Lee Enfield, bayonet fixed. Pockets are stuffed with Mills bombs. They wear sand shoes, their boots left behind, too noisy. They have blackened their faces with a mixture of charcoal and condensed milk. No talking, no smoking, no coughing. O'Keefe orders. "We're going to that wadi where Fritz set up his new MG-34. We're not here to take prisoners. We're here to break his bloody toys and his nerve." They slip over their own barbed wire like ghosts. The no-man's land around Tobruk is not empty. It is a brutal, contested kingdom. The Australians have mapped every rock, every shell hole. They call it their backyard. Bluey moves in a low crouch. The air is cool, but he's sweating. The only sound is the shuff-shuff of their sand shoes on the gravel and the distant, lazy crump of artillery. They call the German gun Bardia Bill. It fires on a random schedule, day and night, a harassing, nerve-shredding presence. But out here, Bill is the least of their worries. Bluey freezes. He holds up a hand. O'Keefe crawls up next to him. "What is it?" O'Keefe breathes. "Smell that?" Bluey sniffs the air. Faintly, beneath the smell of dust and cordite, is the aroma of cigarettes. A harsh German tobacco. O'Keefe grins in the dark. Silly buggers. He motions to his men. 2 go left, 2 go right. O'Keefe, Bluey, and another man go straight. This is not a textbook maneuver from a manual. This is bushcraft learned in the Australian outback and perfected in the desert. They crawl for 50 yards. Their elbows and knees raw. Then they see it. A shallow depression where a German listening post is set up. 3 men, a machine gun. One of them is smoking. O'Keefe doesn't give an order. He doesn't need to. He taps his grenade. He pulls the pin. 1001, 1002. He lobs it underhand. The crump of the Mills bomb is shockingly loud in the silence. It is followed by a scream, cut short. "Go!" O'Keefe yells. They are in the trench before the smoke clears. It is a blur of savage, desperate motion. The bayonet, the rifle butt. It is over in 10 seconds. O'Keefe grabs the MG-34. Right, back we go. Well done, Bluey. As they run, weaving, back to their own lines, the German response erupts. Flares light up the sky, casting a sickly green-white light. Machine guns open up, tracers lacing the dark, but they are firing at ghosts. At Rommel's headquarters, the reports are piling up. They are a litany of frustration. The enemy patrols are un-European. One German staff officer, a Prussian aristocrat, writes with disdain, "They do not fight for tactical objectives. They fight to terrorize. They are gangsters. Rommel, the great innovator of maneuver warfare, is bogged down in a Stellungskrieg, a static war, a World War I-style siege, and his men are cracking. His own panzers are useless. They cannot operate in the labyrinthine minefields and weddies. His infantry is exhausted, their morale crumbling under the constant, nightly visits from the rats. The Luftwaffe doubles its efforts. The Stukas come every day. They plaster the harbour, the town, the front-lined Red Line. They target the ships of the Royal Navy, the Tobruk ferry run, that are the garrison's only lifeline, braving what they call Hellfire Pass to bring in ammunition and supplies and take out the wounded. The garrison holds. General Morshead, the schoolteacher, tours the front lines. He is immaculate, his uniform pressed, his boots polished, even in this dust bowl. His presence is a rebuke to the chaos. He sees men brewing tea with water that is 10% saline. He sees them batting away the millions of flies that plague every moment. He sees the digger ingenuity, turning captured Italian guns against their former owners, building dummy tanks from scrap wood. He stops by Bluey's dugout. "Good work last night, Corporal," Morshead says. "O'Keefe has been promoted." "Just doing the job, sir," O'Keefe says, trying not to look embarrassed. "Carry on," Morshead says, and moves on. The men are bound by a new, powerful identity. They are no longer just the 9th Division. They are the Rats of Tobruk. The insult from Lord Haw-Haw has been forged into a weapon, a shield against the flies, the bombs, the thirst, and the fear. Rommel is forced to make a decision. This colonial rabble has held his entire Afrikakorps at bay for 2 months. They have absorbed his best shock troops. They have endured the full fury of the Luftwaffe, and they are still coming out at night. He cannot take Tobruk by force. He does not have the men. He does not have the will. The hunter has become the hunted. The great Blitzkrieg in Africa has been stopped dead by a handful of amateurs who refuse to read the script. The siege grinds on into the brutal, killing heat of the Libyan summer. August 1941, a dugout near the Red Line. The sun is a white, molten disk. The temperature in the shade, if any could be found, is over 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 49 Celsius. But there is no shade. For Private Bluey Henderson, the war is no longer about battles, it is about flies. They are a living, buzzing black carpet. They cover the food, they cover the wounded. They crawl into the mouths, eyes, and ears of men trying to sleep. The Tobruk salute, a constant weary wave of the hand in front of the face, is the garrison's only common gesture. Sickness is now the enemy. As dangerous as any German, the water distilled from the sea is brackish and foul. barely drinkable. The diet of bully beef and hardtack biscuits has given an entire division scurvy and dysentery, the Tobruk trot. Men's gums bleed. Their bodies are covered in septic desert sores that refuse to heal. They are no longer men. They are spectres, gaunt, ragged, lice-ridden and baked black by the sun. They are, in every visual sense, just the rats the propagandists had named them. And they are still fighting. General Morshead, the schoolteacher, maintains his iron discipline. Men are ordered to shave every day, even using the last dregs of their saline, fly-blown tea. It is an act of supreme defiance. It is a signal that, despite the hell they inhabit, they are not broken. They are soldiers. The Luftwaffe still comes. The Stukas still dive, their sirens wailing. Bardia Bill still lobs shells into the harbour, but it has become a routine. The rats, hearing the shriek of a diving Stuka, will no longer even bother to look up. They simply brace themselves, curse, and wait for the crump of the bombs. They have built a psychological callus. On the other side of the wire, the Germans and Italians are suffering just as badly. For Lieutenant Karl-Heinz Wagner, the Australians are no longer human. They are a myth. His Lanzer are terrified of them. They are convinced the rats can see in the dark, that they don't need food or water, that they are some kind of devil conjured from the dust. Rommel has given up. He has diverted his main forces east, trying to bypass the fortress that will not fall. Tobruk has become a holding action, a bleeding sore on his supply line that has fundamentally broken the momentum of his Blitzkrieg. He cannot advance to Cairo while Morshead's amateurs sit at his back, owning the night. The German High Command in Berlin is baffled. They study the maps, they read the reports. How has a single, under-equipped colonial division held the entire Afrikakorps to a standstill? The mockery has turned to a grudging, furious respect. The sheep stealers have become the heroes of Tobruk. In London and Canberra, the political wheels are turning. The Australian government, seeing its premier 9th Division being systematically ground into dust, demands their relief. When the news reaches the dugouts, the rats are not relieved. They are furious. What? Corporal Shad O'Keefe snarls, reading the order. Replaced? By bloody Poles? This is our hole. We dug it. They have become pathologically possessive of this patch of hell. To leave feels like a defeat, like admitting the Germans were right. But the order is final, the relief begins. Operation Treacle starts in August. Under the cover of total darkness, the destroyers of the Tobruk Ferry Run begin their most dangerous missions. They slip into the harbour, their engines at a dead whisper. They unload fresh-faced, immaculate soldiers of the Polish Independent Carpathian Rifle Brigade and the British 70th Division, and they take on a cargo of ghosts. Bluey. Henderson stands on the deck of HMS Napier as it slides out of the harbour. He is silent. He hasn't spoken in an hour. He just stares at the dark line of the coast. He can smell the sea, clean and cool. He can feel the thrum of the engines under his feet. A Polish officer, his uniform crisp, watches the Australians file aboard. He is shocked by what he sees. These are not soldiers, they are scarecrows. They are skeletons with sunburned skin stretched over their bones, their eyes hollow and burning with a mixture of pride, exhaustion, and rage. As the Napier clears the harbour, Bardia Bill fires a last defiant fuck you from the Germans. The shell lands harmlessly in their wake. Bluey doesn't flinch. He just turns his back on the fortress and faces east, towards Egypt, towards a bath, towards a hot meal, towards a world he has not been part of for 8 solid months. Between April and October, the Rats of Tobruk had held the most critical fortress in North Africa. They had endured over 2,000 air raids. They had repelled every major assault. They had lost over 3,000 men, killed, wounded, or captured. But they had not broken. Rommel would never take Tobruk. The colonial amateurs, the sheep stealers, had done what the elite armies of Europe could not. They had met the Blitzkrieg head-on and stopped it dead. The legend of the rats was sealed in the dust and blood of the Red Line. These are the stories of true grit, the moments that forged a nation's identity. If you believe this stubborn courage deserves to be honoured, help us tell these stories. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe for more epic histories, and tell us in the comments, what other impossible last stand should we cover next?